paragraph.
All right, so let's roll our intro.
This segment has been sponsored by the Ubuntu Room. Come join Dana Sardano as she offers life-changing advice that will affect the spiritual, emotional, and physical aspects of your being. Within her easily available writings, you will find the solution you need for your problems. Tune in to the Ubuntu Room on the Brooklyn Cafe Show.
Oh my God. Hi, my name is Dana Sardano, and this is the Ubuntu Room. Thank you for coming. I'm so glad you're here. Myopic.
How is it being used?
So today we are talking about the ninth recommandment. As Dawn read, I shall not become so myopic in my current circumstance. Yes, my perspective in what is that I can no longer see behind. I wrote it beyond the discomfort in which I presently reside. Here's what's important here, and then we will get into myopic.
Okay.
Rather, I shall recognize that everything is connected, and although isolated events and experiences may be seemingly unrelated, often upon further inspection, all roads lead to the same thing. Take out your notebooks, this is important. My personal growth, my personal empowerment, and my feelings of joy, peace, and freedom. So I understand that, it's funny, I wrote this 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm like, oh, it's interesting that I wrote it that way. We become so hyper-focused in the moment of what the problem is. So we're right here, myopic, narrow vision, focused on the dot in the big picture of, oh my God, my job is terrible. I hate it so much. Oh my God, my boss is doing this to me. Oh my God, my coworkers are missing their brains. Oh my God, nobody appreciates me. We're so focused on that sometimes we need to zoom out, like a Monet, zoom out, look at the big picture and understand that all of these pieces are connected to a much bigger picture. And when we're able to do that, we are able to not become so entrenched and so immersed in the emotion of the discomfort of where we are. And just to take it one step further, I share a story in this book, and I'm sure Freddie knows every detail of the story because he read it from cover to cover. So I share a story, an uncomfortable story about how I left my career in education and took the leap to become an artist. And I make light of the fact that every time I tell the story of I left my job as an educator to be an artist and to fulfill my dream and live my purpose. And I joke that I tie that story with a little bow and create this wonderful little history of Dana Sardano. But the reality is, when I left my job, there were circumstances that were so uncomfortable that I literally rocked myself to sleep at night, sucking my thumb in fetal, trying to grieve the loss of the attachment of that identity or of the beliefs that I carried or all of the shame and discomfort that came with leaving that job. Only in hindsight was I able to see so clearly of all of the things that kept me stuck and kept me there and created discomfort. So the point that I'm trying to make in this chapter, and that I'm hoping because everybody read, that we can discuss, is that when we are just aware of these pieces of the puzzle and are able to zoom out just a little bit while we're in them and not be so have such tunnel vision, maybe the transition from one thing to another in our lives could be a little bit easier. Freddie, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting you say that because Shaquille O'Neal had a conversation with the Knicks winning, and they were just talking about how disastrous Cleveland played and how bad they played. And bad. And 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4, 4 and 4 is 7.
7.
Bad. You can be that word myopic towards the good. You could be at a job that sucks, and then you look for another job. But there are reasons that you're at this job. Just because it feels uncomfortable doesn't mean it's bad. Just because it's sour don't mean you can't eat a lemon. So one of the reasons that I'm prepared for you today is because I understand your point of view. Don't focus on that negative. Don't become tunnel vision because of the negative. But can we become tunnel vision of the positive? Can we open up that door when that window shuts, or door shuts, window opens, or whatever it is? Can we pivot in that same?
I just want to respond to that, because you're saying rather than have the tunnel vision of just the bad stuff, then we could do the tunnel vision of just the good stuff.
Yeah.
But what if we created a broader perspective and not have tunnel vision, be able to see the good and the bad and the balance and the importance of each piece, and then look at the bad, as we'll call it, as signs, as information to tell us
The good.
well, not to tell us, but to tell us where to go. Because the things that are uncomfortable for us are just messages like, hey, you don't belong here, or hey, this doesn't work for you, or hey, you're not that same person you were 5 years ago, and maybe you need to either revisit your values or revisit your circumstance. So I think it's about broadening our awareness more so than shifting our narrow focus from one thing to another.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm glad, because you're a teacher.
You were so freaking cute.
I am so happy. I am so happy you brought that up. And let me tell you why. You take a room and put 10 people in there, 5 men, 5 women, 15 if you want to include 5 children. And out of those, 14 or 9 of them, depending on the number in the room, are going to forget what balance looks like, are going to forget that you can have the bigger vision. Because I guarantee you, that when you change to positivity and somebody drops a pill in the well, they're going to go back to the way they were. Because human characteristic is to always blend towards the bad. It is easier to think of failure than it is of success. So my point is, add more vinegar to the salad, add more olive oil to the salad, and let's try to dwell on the positive to see just how long we go, because I learned this from my teachers. I learned this from my school teachers, just like you. And I hear them every time you talk. You gotta work at maintaining positivity.
Yeah.
What that looks like is choice. So what's positive to her may not be positive to me. Yep. So if she can at least go towards the word positive, then half the battle is there. That's why I love this chapter.
Well, what if it's not positive? What if it's just balance?
And there it is. And there it is. Exactly what I'm talking about.
Beefy over here, speak it up.
She got the guns, baby. It isn't.
I buff now and I speak.
Her definition is left up to you. But what I love about what she's saying is that everybody goes towards, stay away from that negative view. Have an expanded view. If I can get people to see expanded view, man, God bless. But I know it isn't going to happen.
Oh, that's negative. Look at you.
I'm not being negative.
Look at you.
I'm not being negative. I'm being I'm being realist. And if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, oh, you know what? Bring it. Show me I'm wrong. She knows what I'm doing. You show me you show me I'm wrong. Prove to me that teacher's right. Prove it. Prove it. I'm here. I'm here all day. You come out there. You come and show me.
Selling tickets, $20 a pop.
That's right.
Just give them the money. We're good.
Because the object of the game is that it's easy to say positive, and it's hard to do it. It's hard to stay on that board, man. The hardest thing in life is to continue to be positive, even when it rains.
Have to be positive? You need to assess the whole situation.
Because a lot of people can't handle the whole situation.
Look at Dana's chapter.
Look at Dana's chapter.
She was an educator for all these years at this yeshiva high school. Mm-hmm. Everything you did, your special needs, your IEPs, your modifications, everything you did and you put into this, it was you. And became you, so zoomed and focused you, but then when you looked out and things changed, because maybe the school situation didn't change, maybe you changed.
Both.
Right. You know, as things change.
She was always an educator. She was an educator since birth.
But expectations change.
No, you can't, which conversation you want to have? She's always been an educator. Just because she's not in the Board of Education doesn't mean that she stopped being an educator. She's been it through the good, the bad, and the indifferent. She's going to be in it today. She's going to be in it tomorrow. She will always educate.
Yes.
The problem is the perception of her education falls on the other person. So this whole sight thing falls on the person. And people just can't get out of their own way. Look around you today. You can't get out of your own way. Because if you create something positive, we're going to ruin it. It always happens. So you got to find a way to stay above the rim. I'm not saying that it's an easy science. I'm just saying that if you think it, maybe it will flow.
Okay, let me ask you a question. When you wrote number 9.
Yes.
What was your intent for the reader to get from this chapter?
My intent was to have the understanding that when we are in it, whatever it is, there's that like fog of war. Like it's hard to see the pieces, but if we can have the understanding that everything, a variation of, everything is always working out for us, that everything is about our learning and growing. Hopefully we can feel joy in the process, but that's not always the case. But everything is about our growth and expansion. So when we're in these difficult situations, even though they elicit pain, the pain is part of the process of our expansion. So that's my hope for the reader, that they could go, because I tell the whole story and all of my clarity on the story, but it's all in retrospect. When I was in it, I was like hot water burned baby. Like I was like totally, it was awful. It was awful. And then in retrospect, I was like, oh, it was my attachment. It was my irrational belief. It was my feelings of victimhood. This was all my stuff. And so if we could learn how to do that while in it, to some degree, not always, right? But enough to be like, oh, wait a minute. If all the pieces are a bigger puzzle, let me just take a breath and look at my belief around this, or look at what are my attachments around this, or what is this information telling me? If I'm feeling squeezed, you know how many clients I've worked with and friends that I've had over the years that I'm like, you're being squeezed. You're being squeezed out of your current circumstance. That's why it's uncomfortable, because when you're squeezed, it's uncomfortable. So if all of a sudden you're going to work and you want to throw up in your mouth every day because you hate your coworkers, or your boss isn't listening to what you have to say, or getting up in the morning is so much more difficult, maybe you need to look at the information rather than become so myopic in the pain of your circumstance, and understand that it's all information trying to tell you something. Does that make sense?
Yes. The information, and then, but there are sometimes the information you can act on, and then there are other times it just is.
So Rec 5, what can I do in this moment to feel better? Maybe I couldn't jump ship right away. I had to wait a year. When I said I gave my resignation in August for the following June, because my husband had just been laid off simultaneously, and I couldn't. So I couldn't do anything in that moment.
Right.
But I was able, what could I do in that moment? I could make a plan of escape and then work
I thought
through
you
my
went back in
emotions.
August and you resigned for that school year. It was
No,
the following school year.
yeah. I went
She had
back
to
in
wait her
August.
turn.
So I had the issue in May.
So you had to go in every day for that entire school year?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't realize. I thought it was you left.
It was bad.
But look at the
school
end
year.
product.
Oh, of course. That's what I'm saying.
It was learning. It wasn't bad.
It was uncomfortable, but it was, like I said, it was a necessary evil, because like I said, I couldn't do that to my husband. I couldn't be like, okay, I quit. I was doing well. We were living this life of doing well. So we made a plan. We sold our house. We moved that December. So I stayed in this job. It was uncomfortable. I hated going there. I totally, you know, when you like, I always use the example of like, you're in a relationship, you're living with somebody, and then you know it's over and you break up, but you're like, oh, we have 6 months on the lease. Let's just stick it out until the lease is up, and you have to live with this person you hate for 6 months. I did that for a year. But I did what I had to do, because you do only what you can do to move forward.
But then you look back and you realize you've taken some of those qualities and the things that you learned and the things you did, and
You use them
a
now?
change in perspective, and I think we use them as we move forward.
And that's the whole point of rather I will understand that everything is for our expansion. And as much as we're in pain in these moments, if we could just do our best. Sometimes it's this much separation. Sometimes we could separate this much, but just a little bit more objectivity to say, okay, this situation sucks really bad, but it's this, I need to work through this for the clarity, for the better step.
That happened twice since I've met you. When we were at iHeart.
It's happened way more than twice. But
No, it happened at iHeart, and then it happened in Delray Gallery. It didn't happen, and then it happened, well, it didn't really happen at Bobby's place, because we're still
of what
with
is
them.
physically moving?
Of people putting things in our way to dismantle what we had done.
I think that happens every day. Someone will come in and
Yeah,
drop
but
a negative.
sometimes when you're
pixie.
doing a bang-up job, when you're doing something that's really good, and the system sort of says, oh boy, you're making me look bad, or no, I don't want it, and they throw a monkey wrench into it, Even though everything is fine, there's no problem for doing it. They sell your slot for $250,000.
That was business.
Yeah.
Another one was ego.
Okay, but there are a lot of ingredients that
But
change your life.
Exactly.
And the question here is, you got to be able to roll with the punches, no matter what. I was going to do this show from a storage facility, a U-Haul. Remember that? On the 3rd floor. I said, okay, let me see how I can. And if it happened today with the gizmo, I could do it. Yes?
Carrying the Blessed Mother over his shoulder.
Oh, yeah. Because I said to me, nobody's going to stop the show. And this was year 4,
Yeah.
right? So the object of the game here. Now, you had an incident a couple of weeks ago that happened to you.
What, at the business class?
Yeah. And somebody threw a pebble in your water. And it affected you.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm talking about.
What happened?
I asked a question about businesses when they, if you don't make money in a business for several years, the IRS will demote you to a hobby. And it was a tax professional. And I was asking about like the logistics behind that.
Right.
And the answer I got was, well, if your business hasn't made money in the past 3 years, you either have a sugar daddy or you're not smart. And
That's
I
his
didn't
answer to
hear
her.
not smart. I heard you're stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a perfect example, Freddie. In that moment, you spiraled because it was so painful, right? But when you took a breath and you watched your cartoons, but you were able to bring yourself back to center, and you were able then to listen to another perspective. We'll put it that way. You were able to then see, right? You weren't so myopic. You pulled yourself out just a little bit so you could at least receive another perspective other than, oh my God, I'm stupid, right? And I'm pathetic and whatever else went with it. You were able to see, wait a minute, this was a reflection of this guy, right? This guy clearly had no class. He was old school. He said things like Chinamen.
What's wrong with that?
I'm totally kidding. But he said, like, this guy had no class. But then the other piece of information was, how am I feeling about myself that hit me really hard? How many times do I have to bring up the example about blonde jokes? I don't get blonde jokes because I don't relate to them, because I know I'm not stupid. So if you were triggered, I wouldn't have been triggered by that. I would have been like, this guy's an idiot, because I don't carry the imbalance. So it was an opportunity for you to expand, for you to learn about yourself, for you to grow, for you to look and see what your triggers are, what your insecurities are, and then take action and bringing them back to balance. This guy was a giant jerk store, but it was a gift. It was a gift. But being myopic and stuck in that pain and entrenched in those emotions, you never would have had the ability, the opportunity to learn that about yourself. So, good call, China.
And I got to tell you, I took that question to a professional who actually works with us, has a show with us, Mike Velarde, and he explained the situation to me of what you could do to resolve that. He never said one word of stupid. He says, Freddie, it happens every day. And he used to work for the IRS. Now he's working for the federal government. And he says to me, it's happened to me a number of times. So it isn't a stupid thing. It was a good question. He, on the other hand, dropped the ball. This is what I mean about people. And so you can't take into consideration anything anybody tells you is something for you to learn. I love NYU. You know what they told me the first thing when I sat down, the first day of NYU? Everything your professor says, don't believe it. Do not believe it. Look it up and find out if it's real. Because if you don't, you're doing yourself an injustice. That stayed with me. That's been with me for over 40 years. I've never, ever taken anything what anybody says. I go and I find out. Like we did with the cameras today, right? I call my son. I call the source, like mom. When I have mom in studio, hey mom, come to the studio, and she's gonna come. Simple. Keep it simple. Well, maybe not for you, but keep it simple. If you keep things simple, then no question is silly. Yeah. Only not asking it is silly. Yeah. If you have desires, one of the things I love about this lady is every time she comes in here, I call my sister. Because my sister was a teacher forever. Everybody in my family, Diane, all of them, were all teachers. And the one thing I liked about them is they stuck together because they understood what it meant to teach souls. It isn't easy to teach a soul. very difficult, and you feel unappreciated. You don't get paid enough. You get spit in the face. You get doo-doo on the feet. They mark your car. They key your car.
They pee
It's
on it.
ridiculous. What happened to your daughter? I'll never forget when she had the issue at the school. I wanted to go down there. Ain't nobody gonna push your daughter around. Ain't gonna happen. Does not happen. So, in relationship, that tunnel vision, I wanna do whatever it takes to get us on the winning side. How do I do that, Teach? How do I get people to just buy in, stay in, and teach it?
How do you, are you being metaphoric, or are you asking how do you
I
get
don't
the
know.
people
If I
to
knew
get
what
it?
metaphoric means, I would tell you, okay.
You know, I don't have the answer to that,
Yes, you
Freddie.
do.
I will tell
Yeah,
you this.
you do have the answer.
Here-
She has the answer. You know what she's gonna do? She's gonna say, you know that question you asked me later.
Here's what I think. I think the only way, or the best way, to teach people a better way is to be the ball, to be the example. And when you are the example, because I could tell you till I'm blue in the face, right? I could tell my kids till I'm blue in the face, hey, pick up your shoe off the floor. Hey, pick up your shoe off the floor. Hey, and then they're going to trip over the shoe. And I told you to pick up the shoe, right? So it's the same thing. I could tell you till I'm blue in the face, Max, and you know, accountability is important. You stop outsourcing accountability. You have to find, you know, be the ball and all of that. But the reality is you're only going to affect change when you see something that you desire, that you want, that you would like to maybe not emulate, but be more like, hey, she has peace in her life. Hey, she looks balanced. Hey, I like the vibe that she carries, or he, right? And so you see this thing, and then you see the things that are keeping you from that. What do I want? How do I get there? What is impeding my progress? And how do I overcome that? So I can never teach another person to be better. I could just be the example and then offer an opportunity for them to learn or assist where I can. But they've got to want it, Freddie. And that's what I learned. I stopped trying to push people up a hill. When we were in the gallery, pushing everybody up the hill, and I was exhausted. They have to be climbing the hill, and then I could put my hand out and assist them because I already know how to get up there.
So it's like I used to go to 12-step meetings in my 20s.
Okay.
So they used to say when the pain of remaining the same is greater than the pain of change, there
Yes.
will be change.
Yes, 100%. And I talk about it in the third, or I think in the second of the trilogy, about the dark night of the soul. People talk the dark night of the soul. And essentially, it's like a spiritual way of saying it. You know, oh, he lives in that it's this deep, dark pain. But it's when things suck so bad that it's, like you said, that changing them sucks less than the suck that you're in.
Not a sucking.
It's a lot of sucking. Then you're willing to make those changes. So
You even
Okay,
it's
why
even
don't
in
we
this.
hold that thought? Let's take a commercial break.
Okay.
We continue the
A
conversation.
cow breath.
Catch your breath. On the other side of the commercial break, more to come with 10 Recommandments of Personal Empowerment with Dana Sardano. Max is in the flow. We'll be right back.
it's World Otter Day.
Happy
And we're
World
back.
Otter Day. Happy National Sunscreen Day. All right, Max. Ready? Back to it.
I lost my train of thought. Well, I was going to say about how you just brought up about how it's always darkest before dawn, and that's right in this chapter. And I don't remember what else I was going to say about it.
We were talking about the dark night of the soul and what it takes to make the change. And if you're comfortable in your circumstances, then you're less likely to make the change, right?
Well, so I worry. That's actually, we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
and I worry about this because I'm pretty good at discomfort. So
Oh, that's right. That belief that you still carry, that there's nobility in suffering and that I'm going to continue to suffer because I'm good at it. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, good times. Where's your notebook, Max? No, I'm totally. I'm being like a
Did you
jerk
say
about
you're
it.
good at discomfort?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You have to. Yeah, it's funny because on the radio show, I'm going to talk about belief, and really, it's so important for all of us to, if we're looking at our circumstances and they're not bringing us, I'm just going to go with joy, peace, and freedom. We might as well go for the top, right? If they're not bringing us joy, peace, and freedom on some level, then we need to take a look at our beliefs, because it's our beliefs that are creating our reality. It's our beliefs that are perpetuating our patterns. So if your belief is, hey, I'm cool with suffering, I'm fine, I'm good at suffering, I know how to suffer, and you're cool with that, then you're never going to have better than suffering. So start there.
Well, that's just what we're talking about my my clutter in my home. And I said, what did I say?
You're sourcing out for accountability.
Right, because I said I can't be accountable in myself. I don't like have that, but you.
But you'll be accountable to other people.
Right, but you're saying I can change that.
Of course, you can change anything. You can change anything. So if you're under the belief that I'm only accountable when other people are holding me accountable, you have just put all the power in somebody else's hands. So when you fail, it's not your fault. It's not your fault because you put it in somebody else's hands. You couldn't rely on them. How about you create accountability within yourself, and then you don't have to. And we talked about outsourcing. Yeah, if you got something with your website, you outsource. You got to do your taxes. Screw it, have somebody else do your taxes. But your own personal accountability, why would you put that in somebody else's hands? That's your job.
Yep.
I said, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I got squeaky too because I get excited.
No,
I get squeaky.
It's true. Accountability is everything. I think you talked about it yesterday. The Knicks players all signed a contract
It
of
sounds like an
accountability.
accountability contract, right?
All
Not
16
only the
players.
every single person who worked for the Knicks.
What
for
were the
this season.
specifics?
They didn't say.
They
He said that-
hired a new coach, and he came in with an accountability contract for the entire organization, including I looked it up yesterday. Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, had to sign this accountability, and they have it.
Awesome.
Well, like
And they have it all displayed because they are all accountable for the wins and losses of the season. And this isn't about pointing fingers. And
I mean,
he didn't play
everything.
in
It
it.
comes down to food, towels.
Everything.
Locker room. Everyone's accountable for who they are and what they do. But my question is, I know we have to move on, is it sort of goes with this. We look for so much outside validation. Social media, outside validation on everything, from supplements to what you're looking like to you name it, to the angels, to other people believe in whatever, the opposite of. We never look within ourselves to grow in our own accountability. We're looking for outside validation, buff, whatever it is. But if we truly believe in who we are and look within to make our own changes, then wherever we go, we have ourselves. You don't need those outside squirrels. You have it within you.
Is that true? Because before
If Dawn said it, it's totally true.
I want to know what you think.
You want to know what?
'Cause I got a big one for you.
That's what she said.
Boom.
No, I got a big.
Don't say it again.
I got something. What about? Wow.
Mic drop.
What about something like parents? What about accountability towards your parents?
Okay. All right. The parents' accountability. I'm sorry. I'm such a baby. The parents' accountability or the
Yes,
parents'
because-
accountability for the children?
So you have the parent and what they say towards you, positive or negative.
Yeah.
That's the accountability. If it's negative, how do you feel about yourself? Do you say, well, that's my parents, it got to be true?
Oh, so as a child, we're going to take everything that our parents say as truth. That's just the way it is. If I'm, when I was 9 years old, again, my father told me I was fat and ugly and never have a boyfriend. And I believed that. And every pattern I took with me after that was about proving that that was wrong, but it wound up proving him to be right. It was just, it was ugly because my parent, who I believed at
At
9
years old.
told me that. Yeah, but it's
What if you're 20?
But it's my responsibility as the 20-year-old, as an adult, to recognize, because now I'm accountable. I'm an adult. I'm a grown person, to recognize whatever my belief is and whatever patterns I perpetuate in my life as a result of that belief, I am the only one responsible for that.
So how do you teach that?
How do I teach people to recognize that?
Yeah.
Well, at first it's just simple. You are accountable for your own actions, period. You.
That's it?
That's it. And once you accept that,
That's all you got to say? I could
Well,
put that in a fortune cookie.
put it in a fortune cookie. I think that we should hire skywriters. That's fun.
But yet there's so much more that come into it because,
Is there?
well, yeah.
Well, there's
because
the
if you're-
taking action.
if you're living at home
Yeah.
and you can't afford to live on your own,
I didn't say
Yeah.
to tell your
if
parent that.
you're, I mean, there's so many things that come into it. It's respect to how you say it back to
Respect,
your
yes.
parents.
How you talk to them, how you deliver.
Right.
But doesn't all that begin with this?
Yes, what you guys are saying are like the details, or like the manifestations of it, or the response to it. But at the end of the day, And I know it's Broken Record Hour with Dana Sardano. I know this. But everything comes back to you as the human and bringing yourself back into balance. I did 8, 9 weeks on the chakra system, understanding each aspect of yourself and how it builds on every other aspect. Even the Ubuntu Girl's Guide to Greatness, a book that I had written, I go through each aspect of self. What is my sense of accountability? And look into that. That's the basis of it all. Your body health, and being comfortable in your body and respecting your body and understanding that it's a vessel for you to thrive, so you have to care for it and honor it. That and your sense of accountability are the basis of your health and wellness. Here, that's root chakra stuff. Then it's my sense of passion, my sense of purpose, my sense of confidence, my sense of forgiveness and compassion, my authenticity, my sense of discernment, all of those aspects of self. And if you continue to bring those back into balance, and some of it could be work, sense of accountability, that could take you 3 weeks to look at. Your sense of authenticity could take you your whole life to look at. But those are the things about yourself. And when you bring all those into alignment and you feel safe, secure, and grounded and feel joy and peace, and I'm not saying that things don't happen in your life that maybe knock you off a little bit, but you're able to bring yourself back into balance, and it doesn't matter what your parents say. It doesn't matter that your boss is a jerk store. It doesn't matter that your kids are unappreciative, because you know who you are and you can handle anything that comes your way. It's so important that you empower yourself first. Everything else will fall into place.
Punto.
Get out of my head.
Now you didn't say that.
And with that, that's 10 recommended with Dana Sardano. Next week, we're on Rec 2, I Shall Not Live in Fear.
Rec 10.
Rec 10, sorry.
Yeah.
Rec 10. I'm watching Max. You got that, Max? Rec 10, I Shall Not Live in Fear. Still, you can get the book at the Ubuntu, UBUNTU, fishgallery.com. Get your book, join the conversation, because then there's book 2 and 3 coming forward from that. I say that to people all the time, UBU, and I go, NTU. I'm like, what? UBU.
Not only get in the game, but actually tell the coach to put you in the game. Be part of the game.
Yeah.
You know, just knowing the game is one thing. You got to get in the game. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to believe. Like I tell Gato, I've been telling Gato for years. Who's the best, Gato? Who's the best at what he does?
He's me.
Got
That's what it comes down to, baby. And if you don't buy in, then you're going to buy out. So be smart.
It's accountability. It's believing in yourself. It's all the things we talk about here at the studio. And it's hopefully what our crew is learning as part of the Media Futures Foundation. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Dawn DeMarco Book is here. Faith Stories. And I actually even know who your guest is today. I know. All right. More to come. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to stop playing small and step into your highest self? This isn't just a book club. It's a call to action. No fluff, no excuses, just growth. Actually, growth with some super cool people with a shared intention. Join us live at the Ubuntu Room on the Brooklyn Cafe Show Wednesdays at noon and become the greatest version of you. For more information, go to ubuntufishgallery.com. UBUNTU fishgallery.com.